All right, guys, my return is back. I know I've been absent for pretty much a whole season, and the reason why is because I wanted to sit back and watch this team from just a straight up fan perspective, no, videos or nothing like that. And I wanted to see what addition of Cal Lowry or Cal Lowry, I don't know how you say his last name correctly, but I want to see a combination of a championship point guard like Cal Lowry, uh, uh, Marcus Morris, Oladipo returning. I wanted to see what that and PJ Tucker, of course. I wanted to see what that would do for this team, and from a fan perspective, I want to say this season was a success and failure. I would say success when you look at a guy like PJ Tucker. He's what we need. He fits this mold a lot. He played great against the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers this playoffs. Even the whole year. This guy, as Pat Riley would say, was a UD with a three-point jump shot. He did everything we needed and scored in bunches when we needed him to. So he is, as Pat Riley say, is a cornerstone for this nucleus that we have of pretty much Butler, Hero, and Bam. Because that's basically our nucleus right now. PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry are supposed to supplement that nucleus of Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. And I think PJ Tucker did his part. And for the most part, I would even say Kyle Lowry did his part in the regular season. But when Pat Riley says he needs to be in shape, he needs to be in shape, guys. Kyle Lowry, by the tail end of the season, had hamstring injuries and these other knickknacks injuries. And I like that Pat Riley said Pat Riley basically called these guys out most of his press conference and the coach. But I'll get to Eastbo later because that's a bigger conversation. He called out Kyle Lowry, he called out Duncan Robinson, and anyone else, or not Robinson, but Tyler Hero, and anyone else that had knick-knack injuries. He called these guys out because it's like, okay, a hamstring, a groin injury, are you serious? It's not a catastrophic injury. Get your ass out there and play. And they had these knick-knack injuries that shouldn't be costing them to get out of the playoff games. Because when you look at a team like Boston Celtics, I forgot what game it was, but it was I think it was game 2 or 3, where fucking Marcus Smart basically damn near broke his ankle, yelling and screaming on the court, but comes right back out there and plays basketball. Jason Tatum gets a stinger to the shoulder, comes back out there and plays basketball. As much as I like Butler gets a, little inflammation in his knee. He's out for the rest of the game, which we needed him in that game because I feel like we would have had a chance to win that game if he was in the game. Well, we did win that game, but my point is we still needed him to be back in that game because it wouldn't be close as it wouldn't be a tight win. You know what I mean? But, that's as far as the injuries goes. I scratch my head at Pat Riley in the front office for the Miami Heat because you signed Kyle Lowry because of what he did in the past, his championship pedigree, and what he did in his past and his leadership. However, you didn't sign him for what he's going to do. He's getting paid $26 million for basically 3 years. He has a 3-year contract. And the problem with that is he is getting older. He's 36. He's always been a pretty much out of shape player, but a very good, smart player, but always out of shape. Do you think at 36-year-old is going to come to the Miami Heat, which is known for their training regimen, and just jump into shape? I don't think so. So the problem with Kyle Lowry is I don't think he's going to get into the shape. And even if he does, he's still going to have these knick-knack injuries. And honestly, Kyle Lowry is just not a athletic point guard. He's a very smart point guard, very crafty, but he's not going to get any better. And you're stuck with him for 3 years. Now, I've been doing some trade calculating on ESPN. There's a lot of ways that we can retool and get to the finals next year. But we have to do these. Now, I'm hearing that Donovan Mitchell wants to get his way to the Miami Heat. I'm hearing that's a rumor. And I'm hearing that, and I heard early mid-season last year that Bradley Beal wanted to get to the Heat if traded from the Wizards. The Heat was on his trading list as one option. Now, me personally, I really like Donovan Mitchell, but I feel like Bradley Beal would be a better fit for us because Bradley Beal doesn't need the ball in his hand as much as Donovan Mitchell would. And you still have a guy like Butler that needs the ball in his hand. And even, the offense is shared with Bam Adebayo as far as a facilitator. So, Pat Riley talked about Bam. And before we even get to the trading, I'm sorry, guys. Pat Riley talked about how Bam needs to be featured more in this offense. And he does. And this is his second year talking to in a press conference at the end of the year saying this. He said this last year in a press conference when we got eliminated. Bam needs to be more involved into the offensive schemes. And Espo is not doing that. He's making this guy play above the rim and get offensive rebounds and trash points. No, he needs to be featured more in this offense. Stop doing this lazy offense to where everyone's running around like this is some type of marathon and just handing off the ball to a three-pointer. People know how to guard that. I don't know why Espo is so stuck on doing that. Yes, it's quick three-pointers and it's a fast-paced game, but sometimes you need to slow the game down and give the ball to Bam. Bam has the ability to get down there, hit a few J's, hit a few hook shots around the rim. Bam has that repertoire where he can do that. So why isn't Espo doing that with Bam Adebayo? Bam Adebayo can do that. You got to believe in him. You got to trust in him. I believe in Bam Adebayo. All these fans talking about, Bam needs to be traded. He's so soft. He played terrible against the Celtics. Yes, Bam is not a real 5. He's not a natural 5. Yes, he needs to be moved to the 4, and you need to get a guy like Andre Drummond. I've been saying this for the last 3 years. You need to go get Andre Drummond. You need to go get Andre Drummond. You need to go get Andre Drummond. And I know what people are going to say, well, Andre Drummond is not going to be a good fit for the offense spacing-wise. That doesn't matter. Bam has proven that he can shoot the 3. And if you're a coach and you give more trust to Bam to shoot the 3, then he will be more confident to shoot that corner 3 like PJ Tucker was shooting. You got to give Bam more confidence. You got to believe in your players that they can do that. You got to instill that confidence in him. Like you did with Duncan Robinson, like you did with Gabe Vincent, like you did with Matt Strus. Instill that confidence in Bam that, hey, you can go out there and stretch to the 3-point and shoot that ball. That's what Pat Riley was talking about. You need to let Bam spread his wings offensively, but you got to trust him and you need to give him the opportunity and touches to do that. This is the second year Pat has been saying this to Espo. I don't think Pat Riley is digging Espo's offensive scheme. And he's going to get tired of this eventually. He wants to do this with Espo, but he's going to get tired of this. Espo really needs to and Pat Riley already said he's going to sit down with Espo and evaluate this offensive scheme, especially when it comes to a guy like Bam. Because Bam is going to be a cornerstone for this franchise for a very long time. So you need to instill that in him, that he is a big part of our offense and not just a defensive player and a rebounder or a shot blocker. He's more than that. He's getting paid more than that. So we want to see as fans and as fans, we want to see more from Bam Adebayo. I think that's the biggest thing that I liked from this press conference from Pat Riley, because he's getting on Espo. He's legit getting on Espo and telling him, look, you need to feature him more in the offense. He's going publicly with this, because I already know he said this privately. So Espo, it's up to you to do that, man. I feel like if you do that, he will become more lethal offensively in a 3-level score, and he will be even more dangerous. He averaged 21 points this regular season. What's stopping him from averaging 25 points and being a possibly an MVP candidate? Bam has the tools. You just have to believe in him. I don't believe that Bam is just a defensive player that can play above the rim and score when you need. No, I believe he has the fundamentals in that jump shot to shoot that ball more consistently, but he has to be given the confidence in the touches. Now, enough with Bam. I think I pretty much got that out the way because that was really one of my main points I wanted to talk about. As far as trades go for this offseason, Tyler Hero wants to start. I don't believe he's starting material per se for a championship team. Espo is right when it comes to Tyler Hero not starting because he doesn't play defense. I never believed in Duncan Robinson starting either because he damn sure doesn't play defense. Guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson are specialty players. Duncan Robinson is more of a specialty three-point shooter. Tyler Hero is more of a scorer off the bench. That is what they are meant to be, not starters. I do believe, when Pat Riley was talking in the press conference, he was saying, okay, Tyler Hero, if you want to be a starter for the Miami Heat, you got to be a two-way player. He basically said two-way players are what's going to win you a championship. That's what needs to start for the Miami Heat. Kyle Lowry is a two-way player. Matt Strus is a two-way 3D guy. Jimmy Butler is an ultimate 3-level scoring two-way player. Bam Adebayo is a two-way player. And PJ Tucker is a two-way player starting at the 4. He can shoot. He's a 3-and-D guy, basically. That is what you need to win a championship. You can't start a guy that doesn't play defense or he doesn't have the capability of playing defense at any position because they're going to get abused. So, Tyler Hero can work hard in training camp, like Pat Riley said. He come to training camp and prove it. But honestly, dude, I don't think the Miami Heat are looking to have Tyler Hero part of this nucleus for long. And this is what comes into my next conversation or my next topic at hand. I think that the Miami Heat are looking to trade Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero value is very high. Teams don't necessarily know. Teams knows that he could be a potential all-star. Teams are probably thinking, okay, he could be the next James Harden. Because James Harden won Sixth Man of the Year, and then he got traded to Houston, and look, the story tells itself after that. I think teams look at Tyler Hero when his trade value is very high, and it's like, okay, you can be a starting shooting guard, a point guard, and be a high volume scorer. So, a guy like Tyler Hero, I think you should trade him. I think you should trade him for either A, Bradley Beal, or B, Donovan Mitchell. And I will say this. I prefer to have Bradley Beal, per se, because he fits the team offense. But I do like Donovan Mitchell more as a player. Because Donovan Mitchell is a dynamic scorer. He can go to the rim. I mean, Bradley Beal could do this too. That's not like Bradley Beal is just some, older Ray Allen that just sit in the corner and shot threes. No, he can do everything what Donovan Mitchell can do. But I think Donovan Mitchell is a little better at getting to the rim. So, and I think Donovan Mitchell is a better playmaker, per se. And I think he would be the better point guard, per se. But if we're going to sign a guy like Victor Oladipo back, because I think we should, he's a very good defensive guard. And I think his offense is going to come back. I don't think that's the Victor Oladipo that we're going to see. I think his offense is there. But I think he needs to be giving more touches offensively. So, me personally, I would go after Bradley Beal. I would trade Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. That way you can get rid of all those 3 contracts. You can get a guy like Bradley Beal, and then you could sign a guy like Andre Drummond, move Bam to the 4. And then you would have a starting lineup of Victor Oladipo or Gabe Vincent, whoever wins the point guard position in training camp. You can have a starting point guard on either or two. Shooting guard would be Bradley Beal. Small forward would be Butler. Forward, the 4 spot would be Bam, and then the 5 spot would be Andre Drummond. I think that team right there can win a championship. I think they could get to the finals and win. Now, if you go the Donovan Mitchell route, which I'm going to pull this up right quick on my computer, you would only be able to trade Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero and get Donovan Mitchell. And probably a few picks you throw in there. But the problem with that is you still have a guy like Duncan Robinson on your roster, and his contract is pretty hefty. So you won't be able to get Andre Drummond for a cheap deal. You're not going to be. I don't think he's going to settle for that. And honestly, I don't think you'll be able to retain Victor Oladipo either if you keep Duncan Robinson. So you, as the Heat sees it, I think they should trade for Bradley Beal. I think he's a better floor spacer. I think his defense isn't great, but I think he's average. He's a better floor spacer. And you get rid of 3 contracts in Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and then you're able to sign a guy like Andre Drummond. You could re-sign Victor Oladipo to a more doable contract, and like I said, you have more spacing. And then if you get Bam more involved offensively, get him a few post elbows, or even low posts, get him to shoot the media more, get him to stretch out to the 3-point line 2 times a game. Not 2 threes down the game. This team is complete and they can win a championship because you already got the all-star level of Bam and Butler. And now you're adding a Bradley Beal to that mix, a more consistent scorer, more than Tyler Hero was. And now you have a more complete team. And then you still got a guy like PJ Tucker coming off the bench. You still got Matt Strus coming off the bench. You still got Victor Oladipo coming off the bench. Or Gabe Vincent, whoever you want to start. And then you got a guy that I like a lot. I can't think of his name. Martin. You got him coming off the bench because he's a very good player. He averaged 14 points, guys, and he's a very good defender. You got him coming off the bench. And then you can re-sign Andre Drummond, or you can go with Omar, the big center that I like. Either or not Andre Drummond, but Dwayne Dedmon. So I think that's the better. Deal is to go after a guy like Andre Drummond. I mean, not Andre Drummond, but Bradley Beal. And then you can get rid of those 3 contracts in Robinson, Hero, and Kyle Lowry. Because honestly, guys, I don't see Kyle Lowry getting any more healthy. I don't see him getting more fit. I don't trust Tyler Hero at all. I think he is going to be a playoff choker. He did not show up in these playoffs at all, and it really frustrated me. And honestly, I think he has too much going on in his personal life that I just don't think he's really focused. I think he needs to be moved on. He's already demanding a starting spot, so a guy like that, I think he needs to be removed from this team. And Robinson, I like Robinson. I believe I feel the same way about Robinson that I feel about Bam. I feel like Robinson needs different looks from the 3-point line. I don't think you just need to hand the ball off to him and just make him fucking shoot a 3 in front of the 4 defenders running at him. I think that's a lazy offensive scheme. But you can't keep that contract. That contract's too big. So if you want an Andre Drummond, if you want a Victor Oladipo, who are more valuable than Miami Heat than Robinson, and you still have a Matt Strus that can do what Robinson can do, not as good as Robinson could do, but he can do what Robinson can do, and he can play defense, and he knows how to play 50-50 ball. I think you got to get rid of Robinson, you got to get rid of Hero, and you got to get rid of Kyle Lowry, and you should go for a big man like Andre Drummond. You resign Oladipo. You have Bradley Beal now. That we reset, we go win the championship. So that's what I think we should do. Of course, we're going to draft a good player. I believe in the Heat's processing when it comes to drafting. I want one more topic to talk about. Because I've been on this for years. Even the Hassan, Josh Richardson, Joseph Winslow days. I think Espo is a stubborn coach. I think his offensive philosophies, while they do work at times and they can get you far, they're not going to get you a championship. Because he doesn't make adjustments in mid-game offensively. Defensively, he's always been a great coach, but offensively, he doesn't make adjustments. You can't keep running the same sets every fucking play. I don't know how many times I've seen that in the last few years to where it's just mind-boggling that this guy does not change up his offensive sets. It's like, dude, these handoff threes, these, give the ball to Butler, let him boogie down the court, give the ball to Kyle Longreach, let him shoot up dumb threes. It's like this offense is so elementary and it's so annoying. And you're not even giving a guy that can be an offensive threat like Bam the ball more. There is a reason why he didn't play that big against what's his face? I can't think of the kid, the center from the Celtics. There's a reason why. Grant Williams or whatever his I don't know his name, but he's not given an opportunity to shine offensively because he's not given the ball. He is more than just a rebounder, or I feel like coach sees him as a Birdman, a Chris Anderson, a Hassan Whiteside. No, he's more than that, and he needs to be respected and treated more as that. And I don't think coach gets it. I don't think Espo gets it. And I know Pat Riley loves Espo. But I think it's time to move on. Either you get a guy that is a very good offensive assistant coach. You bring him in. Even I don't care if Espo likes it or not. We get his philosophy. You get his offensive philosophies, and you make Espo only coach the team as a whole and the defensive. Or you gotta get rid of Espo and just go get a complete, more balanced coach, because Espo he never knew what he was doing on offense. Even the big 3 days, you had three offensive monsters in Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James. And what you did was you let them do whatever they wanted, and then you just put a bunch of 3-pointers around them. And we won only 2 championships with that era, which I feel like we should have won at least 3 out of 4. But we lost 2011 because Espo is just not a great coach offensively. And I'm the only Heat fan that sees this. And it's not popular for me to say, but it's the truth. He has no offensive schemes that are good enough to win a championship. And I think Boston's coach is like that too. But I think Boston slightly had the better defense, and they had a lot of calls go their way. I'm just going to be honest. But you can't win a championship with just defense, and let's do a few kindergarten offensive sets. No, that's not how you win a championship. Golden State could get away with. I don't even think Steve Kerr's a great offensive coach, but Golden State could get away with it because they got a guy like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They can knock 4 3 or 10 threes down a piece, and you win a championship. We don't have that luxury. We used to have that luxury with the big 3, but we don't anymore. So I don't know, man. You gotta find you a great balanced coach, and you gotta get Bam the ball more, and you gotta make good trades this season and draft good. And I think we could run it back, and I think we can win a championship. But I don't think, obviously, we're not gonna fire Erik Spoelstra. We're just not. So you need to make him change up his offensive game plan. You really need to work on that this year, this summer, Pat Riley, and you need to instill in him that this needs to change now. So, all right, this video is almost 25 minutes. Those are my things I wanted to talk about with the Miami Heat. The fan guys, you tell me what you think, and whoever still watches this channel. I mean, I've been pretty much gone for a whole year. But you guys tell me what you think, what needs to be changed. Those are my trade. That's what I believe we should do. Now, if we get Bradley Beal, we get Donovan Mitchell, we get Donovan Mitchell. We just won't be able to get a guy like Andre Drummond, or we won't be able to retain Victor Oladipo. So it's gonna be a pretty interesting summer. You know, we'll see, guys.